Thank you, Guy. Hi, everybody. I have to confess something before starting my talk. It's a very nice simulation, and I said that for our president because he will not be happy about my talk, because there is not enough gamification, and I confess it, I admit it, but I like so much this event, so I find any occasion to write a paper and to participate. So I know that my game is not, my simulation is not as gamified as that. We are at the first stage, but yeah, I will try to present it, but it's still a very nice application. Okay, so let me present the context. The context is that it's a collaboration between APIA and ORIF Professional Training Center, and the idea is that for professional training, you know that the best way to train something is to put it in the situation, situated learning, to simulate real life situation. But real life situation poses many problems, logistical problems. You have to put setting, etc. It's very costly sometimes, and there is also sometimes problem of security. Sometimes you cannot access some sites on some configuration or context. So simulation mode is the best way to solve all these problems, and this is the objective of the project. So the objective of the project is to build a solution allowing this training center to offer multiple simulations to their apprentice. The problem is that we wanted to have something which is generic, not building one application for each, for example, context or for each business. So for example, we discussed with this center and they said we have cooking curriculum, comment on dit les pâtissiers en anglais? Sweets maker curriculum, security agent curriculum. We have maintenance, mechanical maintenance curriculum. And we don't want to build any year a different tool. So is it possible to make it generic? So we worked with them and we tried to make something generic. And what is generic in all this business is that there is a process, and in general this process is linear. If it's not linear, is with some bifurcation, some choices at the middle, but it's not so complicated. And within this, let's say, sequence of tasks, any task requires some achievement and requires some tools and some theoretical support. So we take this model and we try to implement it with three important goals. The first one is to be generic, as I said. The second one is to be as realistic and immersive as possible. And the third one is to gamify this process. So this is the model. The model is always a generic path, and then each task we associate to this task an appropriate scene and 3D objects to manipulate, some achievements and constraints. We have hints and theoretical supports, and we gamify all these for each task. So this is the generic model of the application. In terms of technologies, the project is based on augmented reality. So we are using HoloLens 2, and we are developing all the application using Unity, so nothing special about that. And to validate our approach, we have selected one context in order to make a proof of concept, and it was not our choice, it was the choice of the center. They said, this is something we dream about it since many years, how to teach people from service jobs how to dress tables, because there is a strict codification for that, and it must be parallel 2 centimeters between them, right, left, there is an order, etc. So it's perfect to test our model of task-based process. So we worked with them in order to build a model for this job, for this business, which is table dressing. And on top of that, we have, as I said, tried to insert, to put some gamification. Again, I'm saying it's not so developed. We only used 3 kinds of gamification aspects. First, we have the scoring aspect. The second gamification aspect is that we have created within our tools something called like missions. And the idea behind missions is that we can work in group competitively or cooperatively. And this can give some motivation. And also we have a mode within our tool, which is what we call time constrained mode, because in the training mode, there is no time constraints. He can make and get hint and correct himself, but there is an examination mode where the time is stressing, and if he spend more time than expected between 2 steps, it's degrading his score, etc. So there is some competitive and time constraining aspects. So now the current state is that we have developed the generic model allowing defining the general process. We have modeling the tasks about table dressing. We have developed I'm sorry, sometimes we can take if it exists. Sometimes we can take some objects if they exist. So we have developed scenes and 3D objects required for table dressing. And we have developed now only the training mode. It means no time constraint for now. And the result is that I will show you a small video to show you the state of progress. So again, it is on progress. We worked on that only for 3-4 months, that's all. So this is the scanning of the room, and this is the room of my assistant. I'm sorry, we didn't test it in a restaurant yet. Here is to set up the table. But here also we have the choice between using real table or using virtual table. This is what they call feuille de fonction. It's the mission you have to accomplish. Number of people, what kind of plats or dishes, etc. And here he has to follow a precise protocol to get the right, the appropriate, how we call them? Les couverts. Okay. Yeah. So here's the selection mode, and here he has to set up the table, to dress the table. And as I said, there is a lot of rules. I discovered a lot of things doing this project. So we have a lot of constraints of sequencing, which must be put before the other. There is relative positioning, absolute positioning, distances, orientations. So there is a lot of things. It's very funny. And of course, the application is because here we are in the training mode. So there is a lot of hints. For example, he has some representation of the position, etc. In the examination mode, he will have no hints, no help. It will be blended mode. Yeah. So you get the idea, I think. So I will skip and continue. Good. So as I said, this project is still in progress. And what we are targeting in the few next months, because we have get a fund from a foundation to continue this project and to package it and to use it in the ORIF Center. And we are also negotiating that with the École Hôtelière in Lausanne. And the idea is to have the full version of table dressing first, and then to extend that for the whole, what they call service jobs. It means not only dressing the table, but also taking commands, serving, cleaning, etc. So the whole process. And then also the idea is to use this same tool for other business, as I said, like cooking, site security, mechanical maintenance, etc. And this first prototype, which is dealing with table dressing, will be used and tested in the next semester within ORIF to get some feedback. So until now, we have tested locally with professor and us as developers, but it's not very, it's just to have a feeling, to have a first impression, which is encouraging, but we need to make real tests, and we hope we will manage to do them in the next semester at September. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Yassin. I'm sure there are some questions.
Thank you. Can we test it upstairs, or?
Yeah, it's upstairs. Yeah.
All right. So I wonder, now that you've tried one test case, what's your feeling of how much reuse you'll be able to do for another different task, and how much customization you'll need to do for?
Yeah, we have thought about that since the beginning, and as I said, we have tried to split the problem into two parts. The generic skeleton, let's say, can be with high level of reusability, because many processes are based on sequence of steps. So for this part, the generic way of running, with, of course, with the function to test the end of one, the dependency between tests, etc. This is very generic. Which is very specific is the tasks themselves. What you need as a scene, as objects, and as manipulation. And for that, to be honest, it's more or less 100% you have to redo it for any context.
Okay, another question.
Okay, indeed a very nice idea, and in general also the application, I tried it before. And about the evaluation, when we will use in the building where ORIF, thanks. And the evaluation will be based on timing, but also on the accuracy of the positioning of the spoon, fork, and so on.
There is 3 criteria mainly.
Thanks.
Thanks for the question, Fabio. There is mainly 3 criteria. The first one, as I said, is the sequencing of steps, because it seems that for them it's very important to start with forks, and then plates, and then decoration, and then bread, and it cannot be the opposite. I don't know why, but this is their job. So it's very, very precise and very strict. So it's the sequencing. The second thing is, as you said, positioning. So it's a question of orientation, proximity, absolute positioning, right or left, or is it horizontal or vertical? And the third one, of course, third aspect is time, but time is very important also dealing with the how to say it? It must be appropriate for the event, because it depends on the number of people and the kind of menu they have selected. The dressing change. So the students have to discover his mission and to make the right choice in rapidly, and to execute it rapidly. So this is mainly the challenge.
Okay, another question? I have one. I was wondering, what's the advantage of making it virtual because you can do analogic simulation as well. So we could imagine having a table dressed with plastic plates and so on. So what kind of advantage do you see by making it virtual or mixed reality?
In fact, when we discussed with them, they said that it is not as easy as that to get access to restaurants, to real places, and to learn. Even in the school, in their training center, they have some places, etc., but they are not accessible all time because you need a key, you need to have a professor with you, etc. And the idea is to let them learn that by themselves, self-training. So the idea is to develop self-training, and if we need self-training, the idea is that the students launch the application in the library or at home. If he has HoloLens, it costs only 5,000 francs. So he has but yeah, now it's 4,000, but perhaps with the glasses, etc., it will be 500 in few years. But the idea is to encourage self-training, non-supervised training, and to give them access. And I'm sorry, also, it is not always easy to have all the, encore une fois, les couverts, all the cutlery. It is not easy to have all of them and all the kind, etc. So it is easier to have a 3D model, and it's okay.
Okay, so you would see that as a complementary tool to
Yeah,
traditional teaching, and
of course,
not to replace it.
Yeah, of course. It will never replace real and on-site learning and training, but they said that they have noticed a lot of exam failure due to this step in their school. So this is why they said we need that at first example.
So I think
it was their choice, as I said.
So I think many students will love you at the end.
I have to be paid at the end.
Excellent. So any last question? Or?
Thank you, Yassin, for your presentation. Actually, I was wondering, we work in the same school.
It seems, yeah.
It seems. We sometimes manage to be together in the same room.
Yeah.
And we never speak together about what we are doing. I mean, I was just wondering, this is a pedagogical aspect that you are speaking about. So what we do is also try to train young people, young public to have a eco-citizen, what we call gesture.
Yeah.
So how could you make that you work with me and I work with you?
You pay the coffee. So first you have to pay the coffee. And we have to raise communication and to collaborate more, because it's general. You go to all the institution and all the school, you will find people knowing extra people more than their neighbors, but we have to work on that. I will be very happy to work with you, Nuria. Thanks. Thanks.
So I think it's a beautiful conclusion, just working together. So I think we can applaud our last speaker also.
Thank you.